before you were born, there was already a cosmic signature imprinted upon your soul. Not one of conformity, not of normalcy, but of sacred strangeness. And today, you feel it, don't you? That invisible line between you and the world. That quiet space where you've always sensed, I don't belong in the same way others do. You shine, yes. You lead, of course. But there's a part of you even the mirror can't fully reflect. A part that doesn't just walk into rooms. It shifts the entire frequency of the space without trying. And yet behind the applause, the praise, the leadership roles, there's a secret you've carried in silence. No matter how much love you give, no matter how brightly you burn, there's a loneliness that keeps whispering, you were never meant to blend in. You were meant to activate. You're not just different, Leo. You're far stranger than you think, but not in the way you feared, in the way the prophets saw, in the way ancient mystics described a soul not from here, but sent here. And what if I told you that it's this very strangeness, this spiritual anomaly pulsing within you that holds the blueprint for healing, for leadership, and for revolution? Not just in your life, but in the lives of every soul who crosses your path. You see, the world is suffocating under the weight of sameness, of masks, of false smiles and filtered truths. But then there's you, the sacred outsider, the solar anomaly, the divine lion who was never meant to be tamed. So the question is not, why do I feel so different? The question is, what happens when I finally stop hiding that difference? Because make no mistake, Leo, the moment you do, you don't just awaken yourself, you awaken everyone around you. And that is exactly why the world needs you now. Part 1. The hidden strangeness that made you feel alone. Before anyone ever called you bold, before they saw the fire in your eyes or felt your presence across a room, you were just a child, but even then you knew. You didn't look at the world the same way others did. You didn't laugh at the same jokes. You didn't feel comfortable with the things everyone else seemed to accept, without question. And more than anything else, you didn't know why you felt so different. You tried, you really did, to blend in, to laugh when others laughed, to be the version of yourself that felt easier to accept. But there was always a part of you, silent, sharp, electric, that wouldn't obey. It showed up in your creativity, in the way you questioned things others blindly followed, in how you could feel what wasn't being said, like you were hearing a second conversation underneath every room, in how certain places made you feel physically wrong, as if your energy just couldn't exist there. And that difference, that strange awareness, it didn't win you applause in the beginning. In fact, it made you lonely. Because no matter how surrounded you were, no matter how many people called you the star, the favorite, the leader, no one really saw the strange parts. And if they did, they misunderstood them. You may have been told you were too intense, too deep, too loud, too sensitive, too much. But what they called too much was the ancient fire that only a Leo could carry. What they called weird was really your gift, trying to push through the cracks of a world that feared anything it couldn't control. There's a phrase mystics use, the divine stranger. It's the soul who incarnates not to belong, but to awaken, to disrupt patterns that no longer serve, to stir the stagnant waters of the world with a truth so rare. Most won't recognize it until it transforms them. Leo, whether you've realized it or not, this has always been you, even Your silence holds a different vibration. Even your stillness makes people uncomfortable because it's not really still. It's watching. It's sensing. It's waiting for the moment when you no longer feel the need to edit who you are. And now, that moment is arriving. Life Lesson, Part 1. The strangeness that once made you feel isolated is actually your most sacred responsibility. You are not here to conform. You are here to remember who you were before the world taught you to forget. Every time you embrace your difference instead of hiding it, you give permission for others to do the same. Because the truth is, the world doesn't need another normal person. The world needs a Leo brave enough to embody what's never been seen before. Part 2. You were born with a frequency others can't hear. There's a moment in every Leo's life when they realize, I'm not being ignored. I'm being misunderstood on a frequency level. And it starts early. Maybe it was the first time you spoke up about something no one else noticed. Like the tension in a room that no one acknowledged, or the sadness in someone's voice, even when they smiled. Or that strange knowing inside you that something wasn't right, even when the world said it was. People brushed it off, told you you're imagining things. You think too much, you feel too much, but you weren't imagining it. You were just tuned in to a signal the rest of the world couldn't hear. You've probably felt it at the oddest times. That click of knowing something was about to happen before it did. The sudden chills, the moment you woke up from a dream, and it wasn't just a dream, it was a message. The way your heart accelerated when someone entered the room, even though they hadn't said a word. That's not anxiety. That's not paranoia. That's the Leo frequency. It's the rhythm of a soul that's been here before, many times, and carries the echoes of past truths, cosmic blueprints, and divine warnings. You don't just see, you sense. You don't just hear, you receive. But because so few people around you were operating on that same bandwidth, you learned to shut it down, to play smaller, to pretend not to notice. And that pretending is what's been draining your energy all these years, not your fire. But now, something's shifting. The frequency you carry is no longer optional. It's no longer content to sit in the background while you play the role the world gave you. It's vibrating louder. It's pushing through your skin, through your voice, through your dreams, through your gut, because the world is waking up. And it needs the ones who always heard the higher frequencies, even when it cost them everything. Story example: the Leo who heard what no one could. There was once a Leo woman who worked in finance. Cold, logical world. Numbers, spreadsheets, projections. But she carried a secret. Every time her team ignored a risk, she felt it in her chest, days before the crash. Not because of data, but because her frequency tuned into the pattern behind the numbers. They called her overreactive, until she saved the company from a six-figure loss by trusting a feeling she couldn't explain. She wasn't a psychic. She was just a Leo who stopped doubting the signal inside her. Life Lesson, Part 2. You were never meant to be understood by the noise. You were meant to lead the silence, to trust what comes through when others aren't listening. Your inner signal is a compass, not a glitch. And when you stop seeking validation for what you know is true, you begin walking the path that only you were born to walk. Not because it's easy, but because it's encoded in you like sunlight waiting to rise. Part 3. Your power comes from the worlds you walk between. There's a reason you've always felt like you live in two worlds, Leo. One world is loud, visible, full of motion. The world of applause, ambition, and leadership. This is the world people recognize you in. The Leo who walks into a room and instantly draws attention. The Leo who knows how to lead, how to inspire, how to shine. But then there's the other world. The world only you can feel. The quiet realm beneath the surface. The one that speaks to you in dreams, in symbols, in the silence of long drives, or when you're staring at the sky for no reason at all. And the truth is, Leo, your real power doesn't come from the world that applauds you. It comes from the one that no one sees, that invisible space between moments where your soul slips out of time, out of form, out of obligation, and into remembrance. You were never meant to live entirely in this world. That's why you've always struggled with the idea of normal. It's why certain jobs, people, or environments made you feel like you were slowly dying, even when they looked perfect on paper. You've always known something the world didn't want to admit. That there is more. More to life. More to connection. More to what a human being is capable of becoming. And that's because you didn't just come here to exist. You came here to remember, and to awaken others through that remembrance. In ancient cultures, the lion was not just a symbol of power, it was a gatekeeper between dimensions. In Egypt, Sekhmet wasn't just a warrior goddess. She was a healer. She walked between life and death, heaven and earth. She could rage with the fire of 1,000 suns, but she also knew how to channel that fire into medicine, into miracles. This is the Leo paradox. You carry the light of the sun and the memory of the stars. You are both leader and mystic, both presence and portal. You walk between the visible and the invisible, and that's why the world has always struggled to define you, because you weren't made to fit. You were made to bridge. And when you finally stop trying to explain yourself to people who only live in one world, you begin to step fully into the multidimensional being you were always meant to be. You've probably noticed this in the way people are drawn to you without knowing why. It's not just your confidence, it's the frequency behind it. They sense the other world inside you, the one they forgot how to access. And in your presence, they remember, even if just for a moment, that they're more than flesh and routine. You didn't come here to fit the mold. You came here to break it open and show others what lies beyond it. You are the fire in a world asleep under ice. You are the soul who remembers while others forget, and that's your medicine. Life may have tried to convince you that your strangeness was a flaw, but the truth is, it's a map, a cosmic blueprint, a signal from the realms you came from, calling you to stop blending and start bridging. When you walk boldly between worlds, Leo, you don't just change your life, you change the atmosphere of every room, every heart, every timeline you touch. That is the true weight of your presence, and the world needs it now more than ever. Life lesson, part 3. Your power isn't found in how bright you can shine for others. It's found in how deeply you can walk between worlds and return with truths no one else dares to speak. You are the bridge. You are the portal. You are the lion that remembers both the sky and the earth. And when you stop apologizing for how strange you've always been, you will finally become the force you were born to be. Part 4. Even your body remembers you're different. Leo, you've probably noticed it by now. Your body has never fully followed the rules. There are days you need more rest than others, not because you're lazy, but because your system is absorbing energies most people never notice. You walk into a space and feel the tension before a word is spoken. You eat the same food as everyone else, but your body reacts in ways no one can explain. Some environments drain you without a clear reason, while others seem to fill you with life, even when you're alone. This isn't hypersensitivity. It's not just stress. It's not your imagination. It's memory. Your body remembers what the mind has been conditioned to forget. That you were born with a completely different energetic structure. While others may operate in a narrow spectrum of perception and reaction, you move through reality as if your senses are tuned to an invisible dial, a frequency that doesn't fit within the typical human experience. This is why the standard models of health and success often don't apply to you. What fuels others may exhaust you. What they can tolerate may feel toxic to you. What they call routine may feel like a slow spiritual death. And here's what's truly powerful. Leo, your body isn't malfunctioning. It's evolving. You are wired for a higher level of embodiment, one that demands alignment. Your nervous system, your skin, your gut, they're not just parts of your biology. They're instruments of perception. They're the interface between the physical and the unseen. And the more you try to force your body into societal molds, wake at times that kill your creativity, eat foods that dull your energy, live around people who drain your light, the more your body will rebel. Because it knows that it's carrying the imprint of something sacred. And if you dare to listen, truly listen, it will guide you toward the kind of well-being that has nothing to do with trends or tracking devices, and everything to do with energetic sovereignty. You've probably been labeled picky, moody, or even unpredictable when it comes to your rhythms. But what if instead of resisting that variability, you started honoring it? What if you stopped trying to force your body into someone else's version of stability, and instead treated it like the living compass it truly is? Because when your body is at ease, not just physically, but vibrationally, your clarity becomes terrifyingly sharp. Your presence becomes undeniable. Your creativity becomes unstoppable. You begin to remember what ancient healers once knew, that the body is not a machine to be optimized. It is a sacred portal, and yours is unlike any other. Life lesson, part 4. You were not made to follow the rhythms of the world. You were made to bring in a rhythm the world hasn't yet remembered. Your physical differences are not errors. They're messages. They're the biological echo of your soul's uniqueness. And the more you listen, the more power you reclaim. Stop treating your body like a burden to manage. Start treating it like the sacred vessel of revelation that it is. Because Leo, even your cells are trying to wake you up. Part 5. The way you experience time is not a mistake. Have you ever noticed, Leo, how time behaves strangely around you? You sit in a room and minutes stretch into hours. You look back on a memory and it feels both distant and somehow still alive inside your chest. You meet someone new, but it feels like you've known them forever. Or you walk into a moment and it feels like you've already been there. This isn't nostalgia. It's not imagination. It's not distraction. It's time bending for you. because your perception of reality was never meant to follow the rules of linear time. While most people move from past to present to future in a straight, predictable line, you don't. You loop, you jump. You remember things that haven't happened yet. You sense outcomes before the path is even taken. You feel the weight of the future pressing into the present, not as fear, but as truth, asking to be acknowledged. This is not a curse. It's not a glitch. It's your soul reminding you of its origin. A place where time is not a line, but a circle, a spiral, a living consciousness that responds to your inner alignment. This is why deadlines exhaust you, not because you're lazy, but because they often pull you away from your natural timing, which is sacred, not scheduled. This is why rigid structures feel oppressive, not because you're rebellious, but because they suffocate your ability to listen to the real rhythm, guiding your next move. And most of all, this is why your breakthroughs, creative, emotional, spiritual, have always come when you surrendered. When you stopped trying to force time to obey the world's agenda and allowed time to serve your own transformation. Because when you align with your natural, energetic timing, the right people show up, the right words arrive. The door you thought was locked suddenly opens, and it opens effortlessly. You are not late. You are not behind. You are right on cosmic time. There's something powerful you need to know, Leo. Your relationship to time is your secret advantage. It allows you to download solutions others won't even see until years later. It lets you move through transformations in days that take others decades. And it's why, when you honor your cycles, your waves of energy, your need to rest, your sudden bursts of vision, you become not just productive, but prophetic. You see what others miss. You leap where others crawl. And you don't just keep up, you outpace the curve of evolution itself. But only when you stop trying to be on time by the world's clock and start showing up in alignment with your own. Life lesson, part 5. Time is not your enemy. It's your medium. You are not here to race it. You are here to reshape it. Your non-linear relationship with time is not dysfunction. It's divine design. You are one of the few who can move across timelines of possibility, who can pull wisdom from the future into the now, and show others how to collapse the distance between dream and reality. You're not behind, you're ahead, but in a way only you can feel. And the moment you start trusting that sense, the world will begin to revolve around your rhythm, not the other way around. Part 6. Your creativity is a cosmic portal. When people think of Leo, they think of expression, performance, art, stage, voice, light. But what they don't understand is that your creativity is not a performance. It's a portal. You don't just create to impress. You create to translate. You take what exists in realms unseen, sensations, images, codes, feelings that have no language, and you give them form. Through color, through movement, through story, through voice, through presence. You were never meant to make art in the conventional sense. You were meant to bring through transmissions from a higher realm. This is why your best ideas don't come when you're thinking. They come when you're feeling, when you're dreaming, when you're walking alone, and suddenly it hits you, a melody, a phrase, an entire vision that wasn't there seconds ago. And then you know, It didn't come from you. It came through you. Because, Leo, your soul is a receiver, a channel, a bridge between what is invisible and what is needed. And your job is not to control that process, but to surrender to it. You've probably noticed that when you try to create from pressure, from timelines, expectations, approval, it feels empty. But when you let go, when you let that ancient energy rise from within, the world shifts. That's not coincidence. That's your frequency aligning with the cosmic blueprint. Some of your most powerful creations have probably startled even you. You've finished writing something and thought, where did that come from? You've said something in conversation and watched someone's eyes well up with tears, and you didn't even plan to say it. That's not just talent, that's energy transmission. You're carrying codes within you that can't be accessed through intellect. They're accessed through trust. Trust in your timing. Trust in your process. Trust in the strangeness of how your creative power refuses to be tamed. Let go of the need for your art to be perfect. Let it go of the need for it to make sense to anyone. Let go of the fear that what you create is too much, too weird, or too intense. Because your art is not meant to entertain. It's meant to activate. And when you step into that level of purpose, you stop being a performer. You become a portal, a place where something higher meets something human, where spirit chooses matter, and where healing becomes tangible. You don't need a stage to do this. You don't need a following. You only need one thing: permission. Permission to let the fire speak. Life lesson, part 6. Your creativity isn't a hobby. It's a sacred assignment. The visions you receive, the words that flow, the movements that rise through your bones when the world is quiet. They are not random. They are messages from the place you came from to the place you're standing in now. And when you allow your strange, wild, untamed creativity to flow, you become more than just an artist. You become a translator of the divine. Part 7. Your longing for deep connection is a compass. Leo, people think you're always surrounded. They see your light and assume it must come from being loved. They see your charisma and assume you must feel understood. They see the way people gravitate toward you and believe you never feel alone. But you and I both know that's not the whole story. There's a silence inside you that no applause can reach. A longing that no surface-level friendship can satisfy. A sacred ache for something more, deeper, truer, beyond words. From a young age, you may have found yourself in rooms full of people, yet felt like the only one truly awake. You heard conversations that went nowhere. You felt the disconnect in the laughter. You smiled, but inside, you were always listening for something more. It's not that you're difficult. It's not that you're picky. It's that your soul knows what real connection feels like. Because you've tasted it, maybe just once. Maybe in a moment you can't even explain: a glance, a conversation, a dream, a stranger you met for 5 minutes, but still think about years later. It wasn't about time or logic. It was about recognition, soul to soul. Something ancient in them saw something ancient in you, and for one sacred second you felt home. And ever since then, everything else has felt like an echo. That's not dysfunction. That's not overthinking. That's your compass. It's your soul remembering what it came here to experience and refusing to settle for less. Others are content with relationships built on convenience or entertainment. But not you. You crave resonance. Not just someone to share space with, but someone to vibrate with. You want conversations that open portals. You want eye contact that melts pretense. You want presence so honest it dissolves the masks without saying a word. And because you long for that, you offer it to others, even when they don't know how to receive it. Even when it scares them. Even when it leaves you feeling like you're always the one who cares more. But Leo, don't stop offering that depth, because one day, someone will show up who sees it, not as intensity, but as home. Your longing is not a curse. It's a signpost. And every time you honor it, by leaving shallow relationships, by speaking uncomfortable truths, by choosing solitude over fake connection, you move closer to your soul's true tribe. The ones who hear the same music, the ones who remember, the ones who will look at you and say, finally, someone real. Life Lesson, Part 7. The ache inside you is not emptiness. It's alignment. It's your inner compass, pulling you toward the connections that were written in your soul contract long before this lifetime. Don't settle for less because the world calls your depth too much. Your longing for more is the doorway to everything sacred. Because when Leo loves truly loves, it's not just affection, it's alchemical. It's the kind of love that changes people at the root. Part 8. Your mission was never to fit in, but to set others free. Leo, for most of your life, you were taught to blend in, to be more polite, more agreeable, less intense, to dim your light just enough so it didn't blind anyone. You were told to be confident, but not intimidating, to express yourself, but not too loudly, to lead, but only in the way others were comfortable following. And maybe for a while you tried. You clipped your own wings in the name of peace. You toned yourself down just to be accepted. You smiled when you wanted to roar, but something inside you never let that lie settle completely, because deep down, you always knew. You weren't sent here to be palatable. You weren't sent here to be digestible. You weren't sent here to be liked by the masses. You were sent here to set them free. Free from the cages of conformity. Free from the masks of mediocrity. Free from the fear of their own light. You were sent here to disturb the illusion, not maintain it. That strange part of you, the one you tried so hard to hide, that's the part that holds the keys. That's the code breaker. That's the portal opener. That's the reason you walk into a room and people feel something shift even when you haven't said a word. Because your presence isn't just aesthetic, it's energetic. And when you finally accept that your mission is not to blend, but to blaze a path so rare, others remember they were never meant to follow. They were meant to awaken. You stop apologizing for how different you are and start embodying the freedom your soul was designed to reflect. This is not arrogance. It's sacred responsibility. The world is full of followers, but leaders of light, they are rare. And Leo, that's what you are. You didn't come here to decorate a broken system. You came here to burn it down and build something real, something radiant, something raw. And the moment you start walking that mission without shame or hesitation, you don't just become who you are. You give others permission to do the same. This is how you liberate the world, Leo. By liberating yourself. Life Lesson, Part 8. You were not born to fit into systems. You were born to rewrite them. You were not meant to echo what's already been said. You were meant to roar the truth others are too afraid to speak. The strangeness inside you isn't a side effect. It's a sacred signal. It's not weakness. It's your original instruction. And when you finally stop asking, how can I be more normal? And start asking, what could I become if I honored every part of myself? The answer isn't survival. The answer isn't. The answer is liberation. Conclusion. The sacred call to radical authenticity. So now, Leo, you've heard what your heart always suspected, that your strangeness is not something to heal, but something to honor. That your different rhythm, your deep knowing, your emotional range, your bursts of brilliance and silence were not accidents. They were designs, sacred, intentional, revolutionary. You were never meant to make sense to a world still afraid of its own soul. You were never meant to stay quiet in the name of belonging. And you were never meant to be normal, because normal has never moved a single mountain. But you are the mountain. You are the fire. You are the roar that echoes across lifetimes. And now, the world, this noisy, confused, distracted world, is starving for what you carry. Not your perfection, not your polish, but your radical, raw, undiluted self. So, I'll ask you one final question, not to flatter you, not to motivate you, but to awaken the one part of you that's been waiting in silence for your permission. What would happen if for 1 month you let yourself be fully, unapologetically, cosmically you? No filters, no shrinking, no explaining, no pleasing, just the truth. Your truth. Loud, bright, wild, uncompromised. Would the world fall apart? Or would it finally begin to make sense? Because, Leo, you were never just here to light up the room. You were born to light the way into futures others can't yet see. And every second you pretend to be less, a piece of that future they fade us in. But when you remember, when you reclaim the sacred strangeness that's always lived inside you, you don't just shine, you ignite, you liberate, and you lead. If this message awakens something inside you, if it made you feel seen in a way the world never could, then leave a comment below. I am the sacred stranger. And don't forget, subscribe to Leo Zodiac Power. Because this isn't just a channel. It's a place where your fire is not only welcomed, it's needed. We're not here to be understood. We're here to remember who we are. And Leo, the world has never needed your strangeness more than now.